The simmering tensions between the United States and China have once again boiled over. A new chapter in the US-China trade war has erupted, shaking global markets and sending shockwaves through economies worldwide. It all started with a single post on Truth Social by President Donald Trump, sparking what many are already calling the beginning of a new Cold War. Just hours after Trump's post, the S&P 500 plummeted over 70 points in mere seconds, wiping out weeks of gains and reigniting fears of global economic instability. So, what exactly triggered this sudden storm between the world's two largest economies? Let's break it down here at TFI Global. At the heart of this escalation lies China's control over rare earth metals, those critical 17 minerals that power everything from smartphones and electric vehicles to fighter jets and renewable energy technologies. On October 9, China's Ministry of Commerce announced strict new export controls on rare earth elements and permanent magnets. These new rules require foreign firms to obtain special approvals for exporting any product containing even trace amounts of rare earths. That's right, not just the raw minerals but alloys, magnets and finished components. The United States relies heavily on these materials for defense and high-tech industries, and Trump described China's move as a hostile, sinister attempt to monopolize the market. China now controls over 90% of global rare earth processing capacity, giving it unprecedented leverage on the global supply chain. But China didn't stop there. The country also announced special port fees on all US-owned or operated vessels docking at Chinese ports, starting at 400 yuan or about $56 per net ton, escalating annually through 2028. For large container ships, these fees could exceed $1 million per voyage. The US, of course, has hinted at retaliatory measures, signaling that Chinese ships docking at American ports could face similar fees. What we're seeing here is economic weaponization, each side using its leverage to gain an upper hand at the negotiation table. Trump, never one to mince words, has confirmed that a massive increase in tariffs on Chinese products is under active calculation. Reports suggest that tariffs could rise as high as 100%, affecting everything from electronics to machinery. At the same time, the US has been tightening export controls on critical technology, restricting Chinese access to semiconductors, chip-making tools, and advanced software. Companies like the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited (TSMC) have had licenses revoked to supply China-bound facilities, and US lawmakers are pushing for even tougher restrictions. Trump in his post boasted, "For every element that China has monopolized, we have two," referring to US strengths in semiconductors, AI and aerospace, industries where America holds a strategic advantage. The immediate market reaction was dramatic. The S&P 500 tumbled 2.7%. The DOW dropped 900 points and Nasdaq fell 3.5%, with tech giants like Apple, Vidya and other companies dependent on Chinese supply chains suffering the most. Investors fear a return to 2018-style trade war volatility when US-China tariffs topped $500 billion and global growth estimates were slashed by nearly 1%. The difference now? Both sides have learned from the past and are using every possible economic lever to gain leverage: tariff, export control, port fees and rare earth monopolies. The timing couldn't be worse. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in South Korea was meant to be a stage for diplomatic progress. But after Trump's Truth Social post, plans for a bilateral meeting with Xi Jinping were thrown into uncertainty. While Trump later softened his tone, the message was transparent that the frost in US-China relations is deepening. Experts warn that what we're witnessing is more than a trade spat. It's a confrontation between an established superpower, the United States, trying to maintain the status quo, and an aspirational superpower, China, challenging that order through economic coercion. The stakes are massive. Global supply chains could be disrupted, affecting electric vehicles, renewable energy, electronics, and defense industries. Shipping giants face skyrocketing fees, inflation risks are rising, and other nations, from Australia to Brazil, are voicing frustration over collateral damage. Even efforts to diversify, like the US rare earth mining projects in Texas, are years behind China's dominance, making the world's dependence on Beijing a critical vulnerability. This is more than a trade war. It is the opening salvo of a new economic Cold War where every policy, every tariff, every port fee is a weapon. Both nations are calculating every move with precision, trying to be the champ of the art of the deal. The world is watching as these two titans play a high-stakes game with supply chains, markets, and global stability on the line. The question is, who will gain the upper hand and at what cost to the global economy? One thing that is certain is that the trade war is no longer a distant threat. It's here, it's real, and it's escalating by the hour. Markets will continue to react, companies will adapt, and nations around the world will brace for an impact. This new phase of the US-China rivalry is shaping the future of global trade, geopolitics, and economic power. And as the dust settles, only time will tell who will emerge as the ultimate victor in this high-stakes game of strategy, leverage, and power. Thanks for watching.